All right, everybody, I will go ahead and call this meeting to order at 4:04. This is Jason Taylor, co-chair, setting in for Jeff Salt, who could not make it today. I'll go ahead and we'll start out by doing an introduction of attendees. Members, again, Jason Taylor, co-chair, and we'll let everybody say their names really quick for the, and go from there. All the board members first. We're good.
Adam Eagle. I'm not sure. I can't remember which one I represent, but on the board.
Motorboat enthusiasts.
That one. Yeah.
Dwight, you can go next. Dwight. I don't know if you can. Dwight, can you hear us?
Yes, now. Yes, DeWitt Smith representing sailing.
So it's like Zach is having microphone problems, but he announced.
Can you hear me now? Is that working?
Yes.
Okay, great. Zach Williams, personal watercraft.
Jenny? You're muted there.
There we go. Jen Knudsen, water sports.
Awesome. I'll go next. Jorge Vasquez with the Division of Outdoor Recreation. Motorized grant analyst.
Ty Hunter, I'm Boating Program Manager for the Division of Outdoor Recreation. Jason Curry, Director, Outdoor Recreation.
I'm Shane Stroud. I'm the Assistant Attorney General that represents the division.
And then we'll go to public.
Oh, great. Patrick Morrison, Recreation Program Director, the Division of Outdoor Rec.
Kent Singleton, former parasail man here in Utah.
And then let's go Herbert.
I'm Herbert Lay. I'm Vice President and one of 7 directors of the Utah Stream Access Coalition.
Okay. All right. Is that everybody? Okay. All right. Next on the agenda is to approve the meetings from March 6th. Is it March? Oh, sorry. I don't know where my thing went. Approve the minutes from the last meeting.
March 4th.
March 4th. Sorry about that. I'm going to get a motion to approve that.
I'll move the approval of the minutes as sent out by George.
I'll second that.
Okay, we got a motion by DeWitt and seconded by Jenny. All in favor of approving the minutes from March 4th minutes, say aye or raise your hand. Aye.
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 All right. Any opposed? Perfect. All right. All right. Next, we have public comments. Is there anyone here who is going to give or would like to offer a public comment?
Yes.
Okay. All right. If you could limit your comments to 3 minutes, appreciate it.
I beg for 3.5 minutes.
Set timer for 3 minutes.
We're going to go for 3 minutes.
Oh, 3.
Okay, so what I have here, can I pass these out? Yes. This is my speech. Oh. How are you doing, Patrick? It's been a few years since I talked to you. Never talked to you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Sir. Good evening, council members and paddle sport enthusiasts. My name is Kent Singleton, 77 years old, Vietnam era veteran. I appreciate the opportunity to speak before you today and kindly request your patience and understanding as encouraged by the American Disability Act and the Governor Cox's WISE initiative, which emphasizes wealth, independence, security, and engagement for seniors. I am here to express my concerns regarding several issues affecting my valuable riverfront property in Taggart, Utah. Number one, the boundary disputes. Despite existing surveys from UDOT, Morgan County, and private entities, county officials claim uncertainty about property lines. This ambiguity has led to ongoing disputes and confusion. Number two, accusations and enforcement. The county has accused me of removing survey markers, a claim I firmly deny. Additionally, there has been a lack of enforcement against trespassing on my property, leaving me without adequate protection of my rights. Number three, signage and access. An 8-foot sign, along with other signs endorsed by the Department of Natural Resources, DNR, DWR, walk-in access program, etc. However, the walk-in access contract for my property was dissolved, making these endorsements misleading and unauthorized. Number four, navigability and easements. The council's endorsement of Taggart as a navigable waterway lacks proper adjudication. Similarly, claims of prescriptive easement has not been legally established, yet they are being treated as valid. Number five, legal and human rights concerns. There appears to be a disregard for trespassing laws, human rights, and property rights in Taggart. For instance, a criminal trespass citation involving an individual named Miyako was endorsed by DNR DWR walk-in access project, raising serious legal and ethical questions. Number six, misrepresentation of ownership. In the May 20th, 2019 Morgan County Council meeting, the county claimed ownership of the state property and declared it as a park, despite the land being owned by UDOT and myself. This misrepresentation undermines public trust and legal processes. Number seven, refusal to mediate. Both UDOT, DNR, DWR, and WIA have declined to engage in mediation arbitration through Utah Property Rights Office, leaving me without a viable avenue to resolve these disputes amicably. Number eight, floodplain permit application. I have submitted a federally required FEMA floodplain fence permit application to Morgan County for a temporary fence on my property. Despite fulfilling all the necessary requirements, the county has failed to process or respond to my application, effectively ignoring federal and local regulations. This inaction not only hinders my ability to protect my property, but also raises concerns about compliance with FEMA's floodplain management standards. Request for information. I also respectfully request a comprehensive list of navigable streams and current walk-in access registrations. To my knowledge, there is no active walk-in access contract pertaining to my property, and clarity on this matter is essential. Please consider this written presentation as a granted request with the 10-day response to savehandtag@aol.com. I urge the council to consider these issues seriously and to take appropriate actions to uphold property rights and legal standards. Your attention to this matter is gratefully appreciated. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
I sincerely do. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate that. Anybody else for citizens to be heard? Herbert Lay.
Yep.
Yeah.
As I mentioned, my name's Herbert Lay. I'm Vice President, longtime member of the Board of Directors of the Utah Stream Access Coalition. Grateful for the time today. I wanted to reiterate that the council, when it comes to paddling, water sports, whitewater, must consider what's currently in the law, the Public Waters Access Act. The public has the right to float on public waters, regardless of who owns the bed. The issue of navigability, as mentioned by Mr. Singleton, is an important one, and the state is just beginning to address the navigability of many of its waterways. There are only a handful of our larger rivers that have been declared navigable, but based on a Supreme Court ruling from 1870, if a river was used commercially during pre-statehood times, territorial times, it is a highway of commerce for navigation, and it is a navigable waterway that must remain open to public use in perpetuity up to the ordinary high water mark. I note that in 2008, the Supreme Court of Utah affirmed the public's right and created an easement for the public to touch even privately held stream beds 2 years after that, the legislature basically overturned that unanimous Supreme Court ruling with the Public Waters Access Act, which has largely remained unchanged. The part of the Public Waters Access Act that affirms the public's right to float on public waters, it's Title 73, Chapter 29, Section 202. Anyone on this council should review the Public Waters Access Act to get a feeling for what is lawful and what is not lawful. And I would say that, of course, the Utah Stream Access Coalition has an interest in securing the rights of all lawful water-based recreationists, whether they be boaters, anglers, etc. And we are seeking to have the state review navigability, review the evidence, and declare navigability. We're hoping to find a sponsor for legislation to establish a process to that effect. And I'll stop there, but I do appreciate the time, and I just wanted to provide those comments. The public would very much prizes its ability to recreate on the public waters of Utah. So thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it. All right. Any other citizens to be heard? All right. No more. Okay. So what are we like, Jorge? Do we want to have someone make a motion to move agenda item number 5 up before 4?
We got 6 now.
With George checking on right now, you'll have a quorum if Zach has to check out early.
Okay. Well, okay, maybe we'll just stick with 4 then and see how long. I don't know how long this stuff will take. Is this turned over to whoever?
I can run this one if you're ready for me to take it.
I am.
Okay. All right. So just on the legislative update, as we go with this, it was really a great legislative year for us as the voting program. We've talked about SB 27 and SB 52. Both of those were to address insurance reporting requirements dealing with insure right. SB 27 made some clarifications about when boats are exempt from having that having a letter being sent. 27 clarified that it was a motorboat greater than 50 horsepower. And it also stated that revocation of registration would not occur during the months from October to April. So it would be November through March that revocation would not occur at that point in time. But letters would be sent out between April and October. So that's what SB 27 did. It clarified some language that was not really clear from the past legislative session. 52, also kind of known as the Montana bill, because Montana's been a little bit of a bigger problem with that. And what it did is it gave the opportunity for the tax commission to reverse use the insure right reporting, and where the state would be able to obtain the state of operation that boaters have declared on their insurance, and made it possible for an agent to do that research to see if folks are saying that they're operating in Utah, but are registering out of state. Therefore, registering in Montana with the companies there are kind of like get your LLC or LLC.com or whatever with that, and get your lifetime registration in Montana. So that is something to kind of curb that. That is not only to vessels, that affects motor vehicles. That'll include off-highway vehicles, your RVs, travel, and any type of trailers. And it also, if I remember right, aircraft with that it does affect. So that's SB 52. SB 200, as we have said before, with this, clarified the language, and what it did is it took away the taking of the word. It took the wording away of 50% of the age-based, length-based fees would be given to the county, and 50% of that age-based fees to the Division of Outdoor Recreation's Utah Boating Grant account. And what it did is it repealed that portion there, that what was coming to us. It reduced the fee going to the county. The age-based, length-based fee reduced it by half. And then it created the Utah boating tax that takes that in essence other half and puts it back into the Utah Boating Grant. That will be effective January 1 of 2026. And that one is this will be a good fix and a good place where we can get the Utah Boating Grant up and running. And I know Jorge's been very patiently waiting in doing so. Okay, and then just as we've been going along, let's see anything on here.
Okay, yeah, it's on the agenda.
It's on the agenda. Okay. Transportation. What's the other application?
Transportation and infrastructure.
Yes, transportation. Okay, so and then also we just received an email from the Transportation and Infrastructure Committee that they are requesting Director Curry and myself to speak and look at mandatory boater education similar to the off-highway vehicle education. It'd be free to the public, and every operator must take this in order to operate a boat. And so we will therefore go that way. This is I'm going to say a great opportunity for the state of Utah. We became a bit of an island. Our surrounding states and many states across the nation have gone to mandatory boating education, and Utah has only had mandatory personal watercraft education. So this, I think, is in a great way that we can move a step forward. One of the things that we're going to push for in this is that we have this be a NASBLA, the National Association of State Boating Law Administrators, compliant or accepted accredited class. So therefore, if the persons take this, citizens take this course, they can actually have with their certificate be able to operate their vessel in another state without having to take their course with that. So they can take an accredited course. That's kind of a cool thing. That'll be coming up. That's next week. 2 weeks with that one there. And then just boating updates. We're currently training our officers this week. This is the last big hoorah training that we have for our officers across the state, and get them ready to where they're ready to hit the waters and work on reminding people to be safe and provide services for our boaters out there. The SAR Funding Opportunity, in working with Director Curry and also with a couple of sheriffs, we decided on creating a funding opportunity where we are bringing $60,000 to the table, to where 3 awards up to $20,000 each can be awarded out to sheriff search and rescue teams across the state. That has been distributed to all 29 counties, and we have a few applicants in right now, or have started applications. So that's a good thing, kind of giving them a taste of what the Utah Boating Grant will be for the 2026 year. And then as of right now with boating access, we don't have much on the updates of that yet. But maybe we can push that along to the next meeting. We can kind of let you know where that is with how Craig's been able to get this through the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, and in that process there. Things have slowed down a little bit because of federal operations and with grants and stuff. So it's been a little backlog on that piece, but we really appreciate your time and effort when we went through and graded those in our last meeting. I think that you have anything else for him?
That's pretty much it. I mean, I can give a little bit in terms of the voting access grant.
If you've got to go ahead.
Because I was talking to Craig a little bit, and he mentioned that all those proposals and the approved projects were submitted to the Fish and Wildlife Service for grant approval. And he's thinking that we'll see those around July 1st in terms of how the funds are actually looking like. they are having, as Ty was mentioning, just personnel issues in federal agencies, and so it might overall delay the process. And we'll let you know just pretty much as soon as we hear more on that. That's pretty much it there. So
That's all right. And yeah, I think that concludes our piece in number 4 there with the updates and announcements.
All right. Anybody have any questions, comments, concerns? You want to throw at these guys? Cool. Well, thanks for that.
I just want to say that's, Ty, that's one of the reasons I got on this board, was because I always thought there was a need for some voter education. So I'm real excited to hear that that's in the works. So I think with the amount of use that we're seeing down at POW and other ones, we need some education. So it's good to see.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate that and being said. And yeah, I'm excited because I texted Director Curry yesterday when I read the email. I was like, this is almost the last thing in my bucket. So my bucket's getting empty for my career. So this is a pretty cool thing.
I know some stuff I can put in your bucket.
I'm pretty sure you do, Jason. We do got some things that we need to correct with outfitters and with the rule and such there on that. So we'll work.
All right. All right. I guess move on to agenda item number 5, Voting Advisory Council bylaws. So I guess this is probably one of you guys as well.
So I think really the best way to probably go about this is kind of looking out like each individual article itself, the ones that I kind of had sent out previously. So I'm really hoping that y'all had an opportunity and chance to really take a look at those and just kind of really discuss on what y'all think about just what should really be on there. If there's anything that was really concerning or anything that was more something that you'd be more interested in. Like I mentioned, I think it'd be best idea to maybe go by Article 1 and then so on and so forth. So I think starting on that first one would be best.
Chair, if I could with this, just give you a little bit more information about this. Since the split of the Division of Parks and Recreation to the Division of State Parks and the Division of Outdoor Recreation, the bylaws in 2018 are outdated in the references of the division and the references to the Parks Board. And so therefore, that's where a lot of the substantial changes that we put in here with the strikes and adding of new language you guys can see in your packets. There is that piece there, and then the rest of it's kind of up to you. There are some items where I think some things to kind of look at is tenure. How long y'all want to be in your given positions? Do you want a renewal opportunity? The current way it reads, I think it's 4 years with the potential if you want to renew for another 4. There's 2 that probably shouldn't renew for another 4, and that's probably you, Jason, and George, because you've already served the first half of that. But so that's an opportunity for you all if to have discussions amongst yourself. This is really your governance, your pieces to go through. But there were some things that Shane had an opportunity to go through and try to modernize the wording a little bit better and break it up into different articles, which is a little bit more cohesive and flowing with the way that bylaws kind of run.
Perfect.
Clarifying question. What's the difference between these two? When we have this one with a lot of the edits, but then you have the bylaws broken out a little bit more detail.
One shows the strikes. The other one is just kind of, in essence, the idea of the final. What a final.
Yes, perhaps.
We have some questions that are showing up.
And then the highlights are just substantive changes.
No, that's from earlier.
The highlights were things that I wanted them to focus on a little bit more. And I had sent them an email about it. So. No, I think it was just
notification.
Okay.
I'll stop chatting. I'll just test it almost every 10 minutes.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
Jason, is the amended and restated bylaws of the Voting Advisory Council the most updated and complete, most recent thinking about what we would be looking at for bylaws?
That's a question for probably Ty or Jorge. So I kind of have that same question is like, which one,
So
Are we
the
working
one that's most current as of right now is going to be the ones that are striked out.
Okay.
So there's the ones that are kind of colored. There's like the green, the purple or pink. Those are going to be the ones that are technically the most up to date, but they're not updated yet.
Those are that's the 2018 bylaws with the needed corrections that we needed to have in there. The one that says the amended or restated, this is where Attorney Stroud went through and made some recommendations of how to break it up into articles. So Article 1, Legal Authority, Section 1.1, and breaking it up into those sections. This is a little bit more modernization of what's there, the wording's in there, and there are some highlighted sections in there, such as it'll be Article 2, 2.1. Something for discussion is, do we want to add another council member? Maybe somebody to represent search and rescue entities with that. These are only ideas that we're throwing in there because you all can say, heck no, we don't want to do this and we want to move this way. So these are yours. We're just trying to give you some ideas, and if you want to go through and accept one, and then we can work through on wording, we can follow that and move along with it.
so do you think it'd be best just to focus on one of these, and then look at the other ones and kind of pull information from it if we need to? But like to me, I think if legal review has come up with the amended and restated bylaws of Voting Advisory Council, that would probably make the most sense to operate off of that one, or to look at that one and see if that has everything we want in there. Or is there
that seems to incorporate all of the lined out and changed items in the 2018 second.
It does. And Mr. Taylor, maybe this is Shane Stroud. Maybe I can kind of do that. So these amended and restated bylaws that Ty was referring to, what I did is I tried to incorporate, just as Mr. Smith said, all of the lined out and corrected updates and changes that we need to see based on, the new division, and put those into a format that's a little bit more modern, just like Ty said, with individually numbered paragraphs, so that it's easier to kind of have internal references, and it's broken out a little bit more succinctly, so that if you're trying to refer to a specific section of the bylaws, it's set up like you'd expect to see most bylaws set up. This format is actually one that other advisory councils have used. For example, the OHV Advisory Council, and it's worked well for them. But with that said, just like Ty was explaining, these are up to you. So it's really up to the advisory council as to how you might move forward. But the reason I put these into the amended and restated format is because this is a format that's worked for other advisory councils in the past.
Perfect. So should we just go through it article by article then, and see if anyone has anything that they want to change, or going off the amended and restated bylaws of Voting Advisory Council, looking at Article 1, legal authority. To me, it seems pretty straightforward. Does anybody have any issues? No,
I don't have any issues with it.
Okay.
Just a quick question. This is the document that is titled recommendations draft.
Yes, correct.
Okay, great.
No, it's the amended and restated amended and restated bylaws.
The actual file itself does say recommendation.
Yeah.
Okay, right. The header on the page is okay. Just confirming. Thank you. On the right place.
All right. Article 2, council member qualifications and tenure. So this is where it lists all the groups. So anyway, so are you saying that with that highlighted search and rescue that we would add a seat for search and rescue operations?
If you all would like to have that, you can. This would probably have to be voted at a later time, correct? Or can they add it now because we'd have to make rule?
I think it's on, it would be in rule.
We would have to make rule. So would we make rule first and then have them amend the bylaws to fit it?
We would have to amend the rule first to allow for the search and rescue position and then amend the bylaws to include that. That doesn't mean you can't adopt a set of bylaws today. It's just that if you adopted a set of bylaws today and then you wanted to add the search and rescue position, once we've made that rule and it's gone into effect, which is going to be a period of at least about 60 days, you'd have to come back and then amend the bylaws again to add that position.
So if we were to add that position, would we need to go to an 11-person board, or could we stay at a 10-person board, or would we need to eliminate one of the other ones to be at a 9-person board?
I don't see that there's going to be an issue. If you're even, then you're going to have to work it out.
Boxing gloves or what?
I don't know. Whatever you guys choose. I mean, you know, I haven't seen a duel for a while, so no, I'm just kidding.
The answer to the question is no, but if you wanted to, you could.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm not sure I agree with adding another representative. This is a powerboat, motorboat person operating not as a public person, which all of our other people represent, but it is much more the professionals, the people in county responsibilities. And I know there are some volunteer SAR groups, but I don't see where that would add to our understanding of voting statewide.
Are there any organizations that search and rescue already account, you know, like would they already be a part of a group that you guys are part of, where you guys kind of know what they want and their issues, you know, that could come to this board? Does that make sense? You know, like DNR or whatever. I don't know.
There are a couple connections. Yeah, our Division of Law Enforcement here, sister agency, are active participants in the Utah Sheriff's Association. So search and rescue is connected to sheriffs, and then also we're standing up a new grant for outdoor recreation mitigation, and there will be search and rescue sheriff's office representatives there as well.
Does that add in kind of a governmental spot within a board that's basically built upon people that are not within a government agency, representing a government agency? Does that make sense?
Yes. I think that's probably why I don't think it belongs here.
Okay. And that's totally the decision of the advisory council. The reason we brought this up is there's another advisory council that is in the division where they do have a search and rescue representative, but it is solely your decision. So whatever you guys decide, we'll roll with it.
And there might be situations that when we start doing grant decisions that they may have to recuse themselves from any type of vote if they're there. So I just wanted to throw it out there. It's something like, as Shane said, that we do not have to make, it can't be put on the bylaws. It's just something to give us guidance of where we potentially want to go. And if we need to open a rule, make a rule to make it happen. But it's solely upon your decisions. If you guys say no, it's not going to happen.
my 2 cents would be to have someone be on, maybe have the position in an advisory type spot, but not voting. Is that, like someone who represents that end of it as an advisory position, but not maybe non-voting. I don't know. I'm just talking. I don't know if anyone else has any ideas or thoughts on it.
Well,
Besides,
I think it belongs under the powerboat person area as one facet of powerboating.
so why don't we go ahead and have someone either make a motion? Could we make like sub motions in this and be like, hey, I'd like to make a motion to include search and rescue, or I'd like to make a motion to strike the search and rescue, and then just go from there. Would that be appropriate? Okay.
I would say it's your vote. If you want to do it, go for it.
Yeah. So I want someone in regards to item 2.1.10, if we get someone to make a motion either way on that, and then we can kind of go from there.
I make a motion to strike adding an additional representative for rescue operations.
Okay, Zach makes a motion. Can we get a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, second by George. Okay. Zach, any discussion?
Just, I think I support that idea that adding a person that potentially is a law enforcement or other government in that capacity isn't needed. I think we can bring in advisory roles, but I don't know that that needs to be part of the organization of the council.
Okay, George.
And I would agree with that. That's my perspective on it as well, is when we need advice on those kind of things, bring somebody in to advise us, as you mentioned earlier, but I don't think it needs to be a board position.
Okay. Anybody else would like to say anything? Okay, I'll call for a vote to strike or not include search and rescue paragraph in section 2.1, or to strike section 2.1.10. All in favor of striking that?
Aye.
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 All opposed? Okay. Okay, moving on, unless anyone else has anything with any of that stuff. Those other sections. Section 2.2, talking about terms. This is a highlighted section. I don't know. Did you already talk about this, Ty, or do you want to say anything else about it?
So in the 2018 version, it is a 4-year term with a renewal of additional 4 years with that. And I just wanted to throw that out there to you all. This is your chance to either shorten those terms or whatever you want to do. So this is totally up to you. It is written in here as a 3-year term. You pick that, is that just a normal?
I think that we have 3-year terms on the OHV Advisory Council, if I'm not mistaken. But it can be anything. It can be 3 years, it can be 4 years. I probably wouldn't recommend you do more than 4 years because you might find you tire people out if you go much longer than that. But I think typically we probably see years of between 3 and 4 years.
I think the 4-year works. The initial 4-year term seems to works pretty well,
I'd agree with that.
Yeah. And doing an additional 4-year term, I think is I'm all right with that as well. If someone wants to do that. But anyway. Anybody else have any comments on that? Anyone want to make a motion to keep it 3-year like it's stated here in the document, or change it to 4-year with an additional 4-year, or anybody can make, I guess, make a, do whatever they want, you know, put something forward that they think will work.
If nobody will speak up, I'll make a motion that we change the term in this particular portion to a 4-year term with a potential 4-year extension.
I'll second that.
Okay. Anybody, let's say, George, do you have any comments on that?
But just that we've done 4-year terms since the inception of the Voting Advisory Council, and it seems to be works, especially because the Voting Advisory Council doesn't have a lot of meetings, so 4 years isn't difficult.
Okay, Adam, yeah. Yep. Anything?
No, I think 4 years. I think it takes a year or so to get your feet under you, I would think. And so to have some people like yourself, Jason, and others who have been on boards before, I think they'll go a little smoother if you've got some experience on there. So I think 4 years is that big of a deal.
Okay. Anybody else have any comments on that? Okay, we have a motion to the council members will be appointed to the division and approved for council for initial 4-year term. And upon expiration, they can apply for an additional 4-year term on the voting advisory board. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, I'll assume it's unanimous or all in favor. All right, so going through this sections, the additional parts of section 2, we have absenteeism, ongoing voting involvement, interests of represented group, resignation and release of council members. Anybody have any issues or ideas about changing any of these? All right, if not, we'll move on to Article 3, council duties. So the duties of the council include voting grant review, voting plans and policies, position papers, and advise on current voting laws and rules with no lobbying. Anybody have any objections or anything to add to council duties that are in here?
Just that the numbering is missing 3.5.
Oh, right.
I don't know what was there.
That's my error. You can blame me because it's my fault.
Meeting's over. We're done. Okay, so then we do need that change of 3.5 section. If not, we will move on to Article 4, council operations and meetings. So this does have a highlighted area in section 4.1, chair and vice chair. A chair and vice chair shall be elected annually by the council members. I don't remember what it said before, or why it's highlighted. I don't know if you guys.
It's determined by the council. The terms would be determined by the council.
They're just determined by the council, so it's up to, this is totally up to you.
I think this is cleaner. You know, this is the first meeting of the year. You elect a chair and vice chair. Is it that the other way at any point in time, if people got sick of the chair and vice chair, they could just call a recall election and say, we want to change this up? Is that kind of the thought the way it was before, or what? I mean,
Usually the chair or vice chair left, is how it ran.
Oh, so it was like,
I think if you were to go back and talk to Tim, Jason,
yeah,
the chair usually was pretty long standing. Vice chair was pretty long standing. I think you can remember George with that also. I know Guy Taylor was the chairman for probably
right.
a good 8 years.
Okay.
With that, maybe that gets a little tiring. So
Right.
That's for your decisions.
So I would entertain a motion then to, I don't know if we even need to entertain a motion unless somebody wants to change to change that and stuff. I think we can just leave it the way it is and then move on. Are we all right with that?
Yes, I support leaving that as written.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm good with it.
Okay, and then chair duties. Chair shall preside over meetings council, have general and active control over the affairs and business of the council in alignment with the strategic direction policies of the division. See that all acts and decisions of the council are carried into effect. Perform all other duties incident to chair, office of the chair. Goodness, it's a lot. The vice chair shall act as the chair in the chair's absence. If the chair's term expires, the chair shall serve as chair until a new chair is elected by the council. If neither the chair nor the vice chair is present and able to serve in the meetings, the quorum present may select a temporary presiding council member to conduct the business of the meeting. So 4.5 meetings. Does that sound all right to you guys? Everything in there?
Yeah.
Members of the council shall meet at such time and such places as to be determined by the chair. Upon written notice of the hour, date, and place meetings to each member of the council, not less than 24 hours prior to the meeting time. Quorum. The majority of the council, when appointed to serve as council, shall constitute quorum. Quorum of council members is necessary to conduct any approved. So that's just a 2/3. Is it a 2/3 majority?
Just
Is that
majority? Simple.
simple majority? Okay.
Majority.
All right. Any meeting of the members of the council, each member shall present. Such meeting shall have one vote in any matter. Proxy members, if a council member is unable to present, the council member can assign a written proxy vote. Meetings open public. Each there. And then meetings will run by Robert's Rules of Order and stuff. So I don't know if I'm doing that, but I'm trying. Anyway. Okay, so does anybody have any issues or any more discussion on Article 4?
4.5 to me, giving 24-hour notice seems awfully tight. I don't even look at my computer every day, so I don't know if that is a little quick to change a meeting time, date, place, and all of that.
I think is the 24 hours, does that have to do with the Public Meeting Act? You know, does that kind of follow that statute?
It does.
Okay.
That's why that provision is in there. And frankly, it's in there so that if we have a last minute revision to the agenda, we can make that without worrying about, you know, violating the Open Public Meetings Act. If we had a longer term in here in the bylaws and we had to make a last minute revision to the agenda, we might have to scrub the meeting. That said, again, this is up to you. If you want a longer period of time, that's okay. It just can't be any shorter than 24 hours.
I would say leave it, and then that gives us the leeway. You know, 99% of the time we're going to know 3 weeks in advance. This just kind of allows us to be able to change things with the agenda or whatever if needed.
Yeah, if it's consistent with the Open Meetings Act, then fine. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Anything else in there we need to change? Okay, if not, we'll move down to Article 5, role of division staff. Section 5.1, division support. Subject to availability of funds, the division shall provide staff support to the council, provide meeting places, copying, mailing services, and other office support, and provide information analysis reports and other necessary information for the council's operations. Do we want them to bring treats? We can write it in there. So anyway, okay, that's probably pretty boilerplate. Amendment of bylaws. These bylaws may be amended. Yeah.
Sorry, Jason.
Yeah.
So on this one here, the part that concerns me is can be changed, added to, or repealed by an affirmative vote of a majority of the members of the council in attendance at a regular meeting. Doesn't say quorum, doesn't spell out a specific number either.
I think quorum is majority, right?
Well, there is some ambiguity there, frankly. I mean, it should be a majority of the members of a council in attendance at a regular meeting, so long as there's a quorum. I mean, I can revise that. This would only ever, I mean, there would only ever be a difference between a majority and a quorum if for some reason at any time you had less than the 9 members that are called for, like you had a vacant position. So we can make that clarification in the language.
Going off of what you're saying though, wouldn't to change the bylaws though, it would need you couldn't just change the bylaws at a meeting because it would have to be on the agenda as an action item, wouldn't it?
It would, yes.
So there wouldn't be some like impromptu, hey, this meeting it's not on the agenda, we're just going to change the bylaws. You couldn't do that because that would be against
Correct.
the OPMA Act, right?
I mean, I can't, I'm not seeing there would probably, now that I think of it more, ever any discrepancy between a majority and a quorum, since a majority is a quorum for purposes of the voting advisory council. We could still make that clarification to make it crystal clear.
I would suggest that. That's what I'd like to see, just to clarify it so that it's spelled out. That's my perspective.
I'd agree.
Do we need
Because
to?
like, wouldn't you want it to be like these bylaws may not be amended, altered, changed, added to, or replaced by an affirmative vote of the majority of members of the council in attendance at any regular meeting of the council without it being an action item on the agenda?
It wouldn't be binding.
It would always have to be on the agenda for you to take action on it.
Yeah. But so then why, I don't know why it says like in attendance at any regular meeting of the council. Does that? Anyway, but if it has to be on the agenda, then I think it's a moot point. But.
Yeah, maybe the voting advisory council in 2038 might get confused by this, so we'll clarify it. And Shane's working on a piece of verbiage.
Okay. Anything else then with the bylaws? That's okay. Then the chairs, whatever word that is, attestation. I understand being the chair of the voting advisory hereby attests and foregoing amended, restated bylaws. It's adopted by the majority of the quorum. So anyways, just approving it. So we could approve then these bylaws with the changes that we made. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yes.
We don't need to see a clean copy.
You want to wait until
Yeah, we want to wait until Shane gets the verbiage for Article 11. That's it. Oh, sorry, it's not an X, it's a B. It's Wednesday to me too, so there we go. So anyway, but yeah, Article 6, the amendment of bylaws, we want to wait for his language to come so you can vote on that language change.
All right. So do we need to table this then until we get that, or?
I can just propose to you the language that I typed up.
Okay.
So I propose that the language would be changed to: these bylaws may be amended, altered, changed, added to, or repealed by an affirmative vote of a majority of the members of the council at any meeting of the council at which a quorum is present. We took out that regular meeting and just added at which a quorum is present. Does that satisfy the concerns that the council raised?
Yeah, I think so.
I believe that addresses what I was looking for.
I'll go
And I
for
can
it.
send this to Jorge and he can pop it up on the screen. Let me just send it to him. I sent that to you, Jorge. Thanks.
Okay, and let me share my screen here. Just so that everybody can see that. Slowly loading in. This is how Shane has it written up there.
Okay. Yep.
All right. Yeah, can we get a motion to approve, if we're good with that, to approve that?
I'll make a motion to approve with that added language.
Okay. Motion made by George. Can we get a second?
I second the motion. This is Zach.
Okay, Zach seconds it. George, any discussion?
No, I think we're in a good place. And I want to thank the division and Shane for going through this and making it a lot easier.
Okay. Zach, you got any discussion on this?
No.
This is just on Article 6. So, okay. Anybody else?
In support.
Okay, there's no further discussion. I'll take a vote on this change for Article 6. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Anyone opposed? Okay. Okay. So this is the bylaws then. I think if we're all good with the bylaws, we can then make a motion to approve the Voting Advisory Council bylaws. As written. You know.
I'll make that motion.
Okay.
Approve the.
And I'll second it.
Okay. George, any discussion?
Nope. I think we've got it.
All right. DeWitt, any discussion?
Yes.
Okay. Anyone else? I'd just like to say thank you to the voting staff, for getting these done, and this is awesome. Great. So, other than that, I will go ahead and take a vote. All those in favor of adopting the amended and restated bylaws of the Voting Advisory Council as the bylaws. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, passes unanimously. Boom. That's good. Okay, we can move on to item number 6, external communication with constituents. So I don't know if this is one of the big.
This is probably more of a
education.
Really, it's just to kind of ask you what you guys feel comfortable with. We're looking at going in and doing some work on our website. We want to have a page for the Voting Advisory Council and have each one of you listed on there, and you're given areas of responsibility that you represent. With this, I think it's just kind of what information do you want? Do you guys want to put some way for the public to contact you, or do you want to have it run through a division email and we disseminate the information to you all?
Yes.
Yeah, that one.
Okay, because I think a lot of this is we don't want to necessarily put a lot of personal information. This is something where if there are things out there, hopefully you were trying to make contact with the given groups and kind of get the pulse on what's going on. But if something does come up and say a group reaches out to us on our voting@utah.gov email that addresses something that may deal with water sports, then we can pass that on to the whole group. But we can say, Jenny, this is maybe something of particular attention that you need to look at, maybe reach out to these folks. Zach with personal watercraft, DeWitt with sailing, Adam with the motorboat users, George with fishermen. As this kind of comes through, we can pass that through. We just want to make sure that there's something out there to where we can have there. In the past, that's the way we've done it. I just wanted to make sure that you guys were cool running that way, or whatever way you all want to run.
I found it helpful when George called me and we made contact with a Michael Holm about an issue regarding the Bear Lake Marina being 2.5 years behind in schedule. So we kind of worked through that with him. But I found it helpful that Mike contacted you first, and then you passed it along to me, and I followed up with it.
Okay, we can run that. Do you want to run with the division email and a division phone number? We can write down the information and then disseminate it to the group, but also call up who we maybe think that might be one to look at, and let you guys kind of run with it from there.
Yeah, would it be possible to do? You could even do something, I don't know, like a voting advisory council at gmail.com, or something like, or at Utah State or whatever, and then from there it gets sent out to all of us. Would that, be something? I know, like my that's how my city one works. There's like, where it kind of goes to one and then it gets sent out to a bunch of other things, all the people.
Yeah, and I would just say I'm not opposed to, like, if it was a contact form going directly to me, that's great. I think for me it's more just the having an email address like out on the internet.
I would agree. That's kind of
so normally when it is like a direct contact this person, if it's through like a form, and I'm not adding, I don't want to add complexity to the website development, so that might not be an option, but a form I have no issue with at all.
Well, so we have just had a discussion in the meeting just prior to this one about that mechanism for contacting staff in the division. We figured out ways to do that, so that not everybody's email address is out there. We could do something similar with this group if you guys have the desire to do that. It wouldn't be too tough to make that available and make it work. Overall, though, I just encourage you to be accessible and known to your constituent groups that you represent, and how we do that can probably be approached a couple of different ways. So we'll take whatever advice you have on it.
So we have one that I know Zach brought up of having some type of contact us type of thing on the website. We could do that, and we could direct it to the voting email. Thing is, if we put it to like a Gmail with that, then who's tending the Gmail?
Well, no, I'm just saying, like, I just said Gmail like is a general thing, but I imagine you could have like Utah Voting Advisory Council at Utah Division of whatever natural resource or whatever the head of it is, and stuff. Like for example, I'm on the Moab City Council, and you can get on Moab City's website and you can say, email the council, and it's just one, so, it says like Moab City Council at moabcity.gov or whatever. And someone clicks on it, they send an email, and then it gets forwarded to everybody on the city council along with, the city manager, all the stuff like that. So something that's similar to that.
Yeah, we can do that.
Okay, we will look at going that direction.
Okay.
Okay.
I think the website ones were the ones that we wanted to kind of look through with that. We will probably have to see if we could get whenever we have in-person meetings, we could grab a photo. We can set it up and have a photo shoot, and we can put your mug up on the website.
You want like bios and stuff, or just like pictures?
We could look at what your some of your application bio. We could write something from your applications, and then if y'all want to change it, we'll work through that personal piece. I know extra edit on yours, Jason.
I just need a makeup artist for the picture. All right. Cool.
Before we publish anything, we'll make sure that
Happy with it.
individually, everybody will see what they have and have an opportunity to make sure that that's what they agree on to have up there.
Okay. Cool. Okay. Anything else with that? Okay, moving on to number 7. Next meeting. So, Jorge? Or,
Yeah, so I mean, this one kind of depends, I think, closer to, it's probably gonna be another voting access quorum meeting, I would think. Closer towards, thinking,
so it'd be July? Is that?
no, this would be closer towards probably the end of the year.
Well, as this, I know there's some things probably as a council yourselves. I know we've been having them at a pretty good frequent time, and I appreciate everybody showing up for those. I think things to consider about is how often do you all want to meet? And then we can provide to you in that process of when there's a lot that we require your assistance with that. And a lot of that's in grant reviews and maybe even review of particular rules if we need to. So this is an opportunity for you all to try to set how often do you want to meet, what kind of through the year, try to get a little bit of a cycle, a flow of what you all are doing, addressing.
So I totally agree with that. I like what you're saying there, but I'm wondering, like, do we need to be accessible to the public, and like, do we need to, like we said, like, oh, we're going to only meet like once a quarter, which I would love, and I think it'd be great, and I think we could get everything done. But is that meet the needs of the public if things arise, and stuff? If it does, I'm all for it. Less meetings, the better, and I'm almost for less meetings, but longer meetings, sometimes, and stuff. I'm up for whatever. Like, I would say, like, we were kind of meeting like every 2 months or something, where we, like, if we were to, I think July is kind of a throwaway month. It's such a heavy traveling month and a lot of holidays, but anyway, if we did, I'd be like every 2 months, I'd be like, let's not meet in July, and move it to August or something. But anyway, I'm up for whatever people think works.
So can I chime in and ask, hey, Ty or Jorge,
Yeah.
when will we know if the applications, the grants that we reviewed and passed on, when will we know that those are approved or rejected?
As soon as we know, we can send an email out to you all.
Okay.
We can do it that way, or we can give it to you the next scheduled meeting, whichever way you want to have that information disseminated to you.
Okay. Because I'm thinking along the lines with Jason, 4 meetings a year. I think that works. We may have to expand some of the time on them depending on what we have before us, and then enable the opportunity that if the division has something come up that they need, we can have an unscheduled, I wouldn't say unscheduled, but a meeting in between.
Yeah, I mean, to throw an example of this is if there was we had a grant that was, at completion, and they were doing a ribbon cutting, we would do an invitation for y'all to get there for it. I don't know if we would call it a meeting. We could throw out an invitation with that, but if we did have something come up, we could contact the chair and say, hey, what do you think about trying to do this? And we could kick a doodle poll out to do a off-cycle meeting.
I think that sounds fine.
So do we, is there any other business that the division predicts for us prior to the end of the year.
Yes.
Yeah, so I mean, for specifically in terms of grant purposes, like the new voting grant, that one is kind of subject to change in terms of where that might land. It could potentially, I don't know, it kind of just depends on what we think might line up a little bit better.
The ones that are coming, that we'll need assistance on here in the future, it's gonna be the Clean Vessel Act, which that one's gonna be on a faster cycle than the voting access.
Yes.
So we actually might have two there, a voting access one, if you wanted to complete it before the holiday season. With that, we could take that. Applications are due October 30th. And then we could hurry and get a packet out to you all, and we could try to review it prior to Thanksgiving. With that, voting access is more likely going to be a mid-September, I think so. With that one, so we can make a decision on that. And the Clean Vessel Act is going to be like our the sewer pump outs and floating restrooms.
Yeah, it looks like under the council duties, 3.1, 3.2, and 3.4 almost automatically requires our attention at least 3 times a year. The voting access, the grant review, and it says the council shall review voting program strategic plan. So it sounds like we needed a minimum of 4. I'm fine with every other month, but I'm new to the game. So happy with 4 times a year and scheduled such that it meets, Ty, your deadlines.
So, like, yeah, looking at that, like 3.4, like advise on current voting laws and rules. Would that involve, like, say you guys are like, hey, we think that we should make a change to this voting law. Would that be like a fall thing so that it could be prepped and ready for the legislative session? Or would we not need to worry about anything like that?
If there was a statute coming out and we had some items of discussion, say this education piece that we'll be doing a presentation in a couple weeks. If we start looking at language, we could have some ideas and pass it by you and gather ideas from you all with that. I think that can be done via email, okay? Or is that?
So,
or does
just
that
want to
have
make
to be an
sure
actual
you
meeting?
don't want to have folks acting, a quorum of members of the council acting outside of any duly called meeting. So certainly the chair could inquire with you about whether something might be appropriate for an agenda item.
Okay.
But as far as taking action on it, if the council is going to take any action or make any recommendation, it needs to be in a meeting.
Okay. So yeah, there probably would be a fall, or do you think this is going to be?
Well, I would say, yeah, there will be some times where we have legislation in the fall, but most of it is going to be stuff that we discover during the session. So if anything, it would be good to probably have one somewhere in the session to bring up at least. I mean, what we can do is, and this is what we're going to do with the OHV Advisory Council, is advise you as what's going on. Here are the bills that we are dealing with that we know about that relate to voting, and if there is a need for this group to have a meeting to discuss or provide recommendations or advice, we'll be open to that and can schedule it. Some sessions are significant voting stuff, some sessions there's not, but we would want to probably have at least give you the opportunity to weigh in on what you think, and then, like Ty said, on this possibility of an adult voting education course, if there's a bill that passes this session, then we would want to have a meeting or two to ask for your advice in how, what the content of that course is and some of the details there.
Yeah, we can work through that. The other thing's going to be rules. I'm gonna tell you right now, and I know Jason knows that the next big rule that we need to kind of open up and work on is the carrying pastures for hire rule and do some massive fixes in there that we have some dead ends that need to get fixed. So
just throwing this out there, what if we just throw out September? Would that be an appropriate time to have the next meeting? September 2nd, first Tuesday? Would we have stuff on the agenda that would need to be that we would have on there by then?
we have applications in for CBA.
I think we just barely getting applications in. CBA.
Do we close the end of September on that? Oh, so then we're in October?
Yeah.
So would it be better to do in October and then maybe in November?
Have two.
October would be enough time. Sorry, we're discussing here.
No, I can kind of hear you guys.
If October, we're trying to look at when applications are coming in. We moved the application process up on the Clean Vessel Act, just because we didn't understand the deadline that was there, because we didn't have the federal notice. Once we got the federal notice, we were like, oh, okay, we understand what the deadline is. So we'll be barely getting in applications at that time in September. So maybe if we push that to October, but I
Like
know
October-
that is during season.
October 21st, would that give you guys enough time to compile the applications?
Yeah.
October 20th should be good.
Yeah.
All right. Does that work? That's like 7 years away for me. So, yeah. All right. Anybody want to make a motion then, or?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear the date. What?
October 21st.
Thank you.
It's a Tuesday.
I'll make a motion that we set the next meeting date, October 21st. Same time.
Same place, same channel.
Yep.
Can I get a second?
I'll second it. Yeah.
Okay. George, any discussion on that?
No, I think on a Tuesday, if we had it prior to the deer hunt weekend, we'd probably be up a creek. But Tuesday it might work. I think it'll work better than it would the week before, for sure.
21st is better than the 14th.
Okay. All right. DeWitt, do you have any comment on that or discussion?
No.
Okay. Anyone else? Okay. All in favor of the next meeting being October 21st, 4 o'clock, 4 to 6. All in favor, say aye.
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 All right. Any opposed? Okay. All right. That moves us on to item 8. Does anybody have, and we can adjourn. If I can get a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion to adjourn. This is Zach.
Okay, perfect. Second. All right.
I'll second that.
Any discussion? I'd like to say thanks, guys. Thanks for bearing with me on this. I appreciate it, and thank you guys for everything. And all in favor of adjourning, say aye.
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 Okay, we're done.
Thanks, everybody.
Awesome.
Thanks you all. Good job, Jason.
Thanks, Jason.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Jason.
Yep.
Thanks,
Talk to you
everybody.
guys.
Have a great summer.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Bye.
Good one.